You saw David Goldstein's investigation earlier on food being wasted that was meant for the homeless. David joins me now to talk more about this story and just how he uncovered it. So David, let's start from the beginning. What is the LA Homeless Services Authority, and is this a taxpayer-funded program?
Totally taxpayer funded, $800 million, both federal, state, and local funds. It's called LAHSA. They were created about 30 years ago. It's a joint powers authority, they call it. It's both city and county. So LA City, LA County taxpayers are paying for this, and also there's some supervision between the city council and the board of supervisors.
Wow. Okay, so everybody has a piece of this.
Everybody has a piece of it, and it is a huge agency that started very small 30 years ago before the homeless problem became such a big problem in LA, and the agency has just grown and grown and grown.
And so have the problems, apparently. So, David, how did you first hear about this? Did it start with a viewer tip, or?
Yeah, you know, as all of our stories, they start with tips. Somebody gives you a tip about this, and in this situation, somebody also sent me some photographs, and that's when of food in the garbage, and that's when we started saying, you know, there's something here. We're going to have to go and try to figure out how they're doing this. You can see in the video there, we had some hidden cameras set up. Once we figured out the dumpsters they were using, and they were using the dumpsters right at LAHSA headquarters in Panorama City. So they were picking the food up, driving around all day, and then dumping it at the end of the day. And we followed them all throughout the process.
Well, that's the next question, David, because when you do an investigation like this, it doesn't happen overnight. Now, you said you watched these employees for months. So can you walk us through the process and what it took for everything to come together?
Yeah, I mean, the process that they do is they get there early in the morning, about 6 in the morning, and about 7, they all pick up food. In this case, it was outside the library in North Hollywood. And from there, they're supposed to go out. They're outreach workers. They're supposed to work with the community and the homeless and those less fortunate on the streets, trying to get them social services, trying to get them temporary housing. And they use this food to try to, as an sort of an entree to get in to talk to these people. We have some food for you, so here's the food, and then we'll try to give you, would you like to have some other things, some services, some housing and things like that. So we followed them throughout the day to see what they did. As you saw in the story, a lot of what they did didn't seem to be outreach. They'd be running errands, they'd be taking breaks, they were on exercise walks. And, you know, as in all of our stories, when we confronted them and asked them what was going on,
no comment.
No comment. They didn't really want to talk about it. Here's some of the things you did not see in the story of some of the things when I first approached them after we wanted to find out what was going on. We saw you dump boxes of food out into the dumpster.
I'm not going to answer any questions.
Why would you throw food out that's supposed to go to the homeless?
And you don't have my consent to videotape.
I don't need your consent, but we have you on camera throwing food out in the dumpster. Why would you throw the food out?
If I could answer that, I would.
Well, why can't you answer it?
Because we're with LAHSA. That's why. Oh. And we're on tape.
Can't
so we were told,
well, why
I can. I just can't answer it because I have supervisors that you have to go through.
We have you, sir, on hidden camera throwing food in a dumpster. Why would you do that? Food that's entitled, you have food that's supposed to go to the homeless. Why would you throw that food out? And as you can see, they didn't want to answer the questions. They said they couldn't talk to the media, and you know, a lot of public employees can't talk to the media. And they were respectful, and they said no. Now, what we found out, Pat, through a source, is that the agency, once they found out what we were doing, they put out an email to all their employees telling them what I was doing, also saying that Mr. Goldstein could be approaching you during your job.
Wow.
Be respectful. Just tell him to ask to go to the media office. They went on to say that he's going to try to antagonize you and things like that in the email, but they told him to be respectful, and indeed they did.
So they followed those orders.
They followed those orders, perhaps not the workflow that they're
supposed to do.
But it shows, you know, the agencies, when they find out an investigation is ongoing, whether it be me or other reporters, they want to make sure their people are on the up and up. This is, of course, after the fact, and make sure that they deal with the media correctly. But my question always is about these, who's watching over these workers?
Exactly.
Why isn't somebody saying, hey, why are we throwing this food out? We should be giving it to the mission. We should be giving it to shelters, things of that nature.
Many of us who will watch this or have seen some of your preview are saying, well, okay, if they couldn't find anybody nearby, why didn't they go somewhere else, canvass the streets, or go to other nonprofits, whatever? So I'm going to ask you this question. You said a lot of them, we saw them shopping, exercising. What should they have been doing in the course of, I assume, an 8-hour day?
Yeah, I mean, they're supposed to go out and they're in geographic areas, and they're supposed to deal with the homeless in those areas. They're supposed to stop when they see them on the sidewalk and the streets, and they're supposed to offer them services, try to give them help, to try to get them some temporary shelters and get them off the neighborhood streets. That's what they're supposed to be doing. We didn't see a lot of that, at least with the teams that we followed. Now, there are hundreds of outreach workers. I am sure there are very many of them that do their job the way they're supposed to.
Okay, well, I know we're going to be hearing from the supervisors or from whoever is a spokesperson about your report.
And the other thing with
have
LASA
to.
as well is they're already looking at breaking up this agency before we did this investigation because they know it's too big and it is not accomplishing what they believe, the supervisors that is, believe they should be accomplishing. So they're already looking at breaking up this agency. Our investigation, I'm sure, will add fuel to the fire.
Oh, it usually does. Months in the making, too.
Yeah.
You've been working really hard on this. All right. Thanks so much, Goldie.
Thanks.
And you can watch the full investigation on cbsla.com/investigations.